Hello, everyone, and welcome. My name is Magnus from KHDA, and I wish to welcome you all to this What Works X webinar themed under the Back to School campaign, looking at supporting students return to school next week. Before my colleague Abdullah will introduce our speaker today, Natalia Hassani from Positivity here in Dubai, I would greatly appreciate if you could all partake in this icebreaker exercise by simply answering one question. And to my help, I would need something called menti.com. So if I could ask all of you to log on to menti.com, I will share a screen here. 1 second. So as you can see on your screen, if you could all log on to menti.com and use the code 8580679. I'll leave you to do that for 20 seconds. And the question that I'd like you all to answer is, how do you feel about going back to school? One word. Since you all are students and you've been away from school, from physical school for a while, it'd be great to know, how do you feel about going back to school? One word. So everybody log on to menti.com, use the code 8580679. In one word, how do you feel about going back to school? Are you guys excited, hesitant, happy, perhaps cautious? Some of you might be confused or even eager. Does it feel rewarding to finally be back? Is it overdue? Too soon? Please let me know. In one word, how do I feel about going back to school? And you can use either your handheld device or the laptop just by opening another window. Fantastic, the first answer. Someone here is eager. I like that. Anyone else? What are your thoughts about going back to excited? Fantastic. We've got some positive students here. Another excited, wonderful. Somebody is scared, cautious, wonderful, hesitant. Excited seems to be the key word here. Fantastic. Terrified. I hope this webinar will reassure you a bit. Wait for a few more. Excited again. Somebody's eager, enthusiastic, wonderful. I think we can say that the pros outwin the cons. So most of you are kind of excited. Nice to come back and see your friends, see your teachers, get back in gear. Excited, good, happy, wonderful. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Ooh, lazy, unsafe, grateful. Wonderful, good, cautious, excellent. Wow, we're getting more and more. Nervous. But overall, I think we have a consensus here of, we've got quite a few people of you are excited, a few of you are happy, and some of you are scared. And we're hoping that today's webinar will reassure you a bit to get excited. So I want to thank you all so much for answering this question. And just to let you know, we will use menti.com towards the end of this webinar, so to receive some of your feedback regarding today's session. So please stay logged on to this platform. I will now hand over the word to my colleague Abdullah for his introduction to today's guest, Natalia. I would like to remind everyone to please use the chat feature on your right-hand side of your screen to ask any questions you might have to Natalia during her presentation. So just pop it into the chat feature and hopefully there will be time for Natalia to answer. So I will now hand over to my colleague Abdullah. I'm just going to stop sharing my screen here.
Thank you, Magnus, and hi everyone again. I would like to welcome you all to this What Works X Back to School webinar. My name is Abdullah Al-Ubaidli, and myself, together with my colleagues Magnus, Maya, Noha from KHDA, are looking forward to this webinar today titled The 5 Sense Challenge. The What Works initiative is a long-standing staple among KHDA's initiatives, celebrating the good practices conducted by teachers in our schools in Dubai. Today, however, the webinar is dedicated to our wonderful students in many of our Dubai private schools. Our main speaker and invited guest today is Natalia Hassanieh, founder of Positivity here in Dubai. Natalia is a social entrepreneur and a keynote speaker and an advocate of mindful living. As Natalia is a strong advocate of well-being and for everyone to, to discover the inner potential, she founded her company Positivity in 2013 and focuses on helping corporations, communities, and schools to achieve a positive state. Natalia often states mindfully, one breath at a time, something I think all of us can agree with, as well as long list of yoga courses under her belt. Natalia also has a degree from the American University of Beirut. So without further ado, please let me welcome Natalia to our webinar. Natalia, over to you.
Hello, everyone. Such a pleasure to be here with you today and to talk about positivity and to check with ourselves. How are we feeling going back to school? It's a very challenging time and it could be overwhelming. It could be excited and eager. You can feel 1,000 things that you can run through and you just don't know where you're at. What are your friends going to say? How are you going to meet everyone again? How are we going to be in a social circle in a classroom again after all these months of being separated from each other? So what I'm here today to share with you basically is very simple techniques for you to take into consideration on your own well-being. So I'm going to share a few slides with you just to show you visually what happens in our brains. What is happening inside us? So if you see, the picture is already too crowded and there's so many things happening in our brains, and our brains are constantly processing information, is constantly processing emotions, which I'm going to talk about today in more detail. So when you go to school, you're learning new things, you're acknowledging, you're connecting, you're registering, and at the same time, without you noticing, your emotions are going through a lot as well. So in our mindful brain, what we're going to talk about today is basically mindfulness, which is not meditation and it's not something boring to do and just connect with your breath. But I'm going to explain to you what happens in our brain so that you can see that our brain is constantly recording. So the prefrontal cortex that you see in the screen at the left side is the part of the brain that makes you do good choices and is the part of the brain that processes, is this a good decision to make? Do I have to slap my friend because she said this word? No, you just reflect and you take the right decision there. But where you see that part of the brain called the amygdala is the part of the brain that stores all our fears. All right, so mindfulness is basically the part of the amygdala is part of the brain that all our fears are stored. So for example, we're going back to school and being in a social environment is a challenge because we haven't been there for a long time. So when we be more present with ourselves and we stop for a minute and for a second, just to stop within ourselves to check on how are we feeling about going to school, you can be surprised on how more connected and deeper answers you will get. All right, so when we practice mindfulness and we are here in the present, our brain starts working in a better way. Our brain starts focusing on the better choices to make. So as a first challenge together, I'm going to ask you to sit with me for a few seconds, just listening to the sound of the bell. Right, let's just, if you can challenge yourself and close your eyes for a few seconds, just listening to the sound. All right. The most visual example I like to give people is basically, can you all see my snow globe? Okay. So if we look at this snow globe in front of us, we can imagine our minds being this globe. And if you look closely, it looks clear, it looks settled, and it looks relaxed and calm. It's actually nice to look at it. But then when we come across an event in our lives which is stressful or fearful or excited or a change like what's going to happen next week, our brain goes from something like this maybe to something like this in a matter of seconds. Do you see how it looks now? It all gets blurry and it gets stressed, and there's so many things going on in our brains. And if we look at every single bit of glitter, each one of them is one thought, one emotion, one challenge, one fear. And then our brains become so stressed and our emotions become all over the place. But if we get the chance to just sit, take a deep breath, and maybe exhale everything and listen to the bell one more time while we watch these little glitters just settle down at the bottom of the globe. So how do you see your brain again? Can somebody just share with me which kind of brain would you like to have? The first one, the all messed and crowded one, or the relaxing, mindful brain? What do you think would be better for us to function?
Mindful.
Mindful. Nice. So why would we want to be mindful? Why would we want to go after this calm and clear brain? So you know how you go to school and everybody's teaching us one thing or another, or a skill, or equations and biology and geometry and algebra. And everybody's like, guys, focus, sit down, just focus on your task. But nobody's actually telling us how to do it. And this how to do it is your private ownership, your private decision, your choice to be mindful, to be relaxed, to be connected with yourself. So if we do like a 5 senses challenge, just quickly, just for me to share with you, what are the tools that you could do when you go back to school next week and you get faced with all these rush of emotions. If we look at our first sense, touch, if I ask you please to grab anything around you that has a coarse surface, could be just a pillow, a cushion, and just bring your fingers to the surface and close your eyes and just there and then feel the texture of the fabric that you're touching. Feel the texture of your pants, of your jeans. Feel the fingers touch your jeans. just like that. And when you feel that you are just there, feeling the texture touching your fingers, that's when you become mindful. That's it. You don't need to go into meditation for 20 minutes to become mindful and peaceful and connected. The same kind of sense, the touch. We're only touching, the sense of touching is amazing, but deeper down, we are humans that are constantly touching each other's lives. And we are constantly touching each other's feelings and attitudes. So if somebody is feeling stressed, if somebody tells us a word that makes us even more stressed, is affecting our life. And at the same time, if we say just one kind word to a random stranger, that stranger might be having an awful day, but just a good morning with a smile in the morning, we are touching their lives. And in this transition that we're all going back into being social beings again, I think each one of us can make a small, tiny effort, but a huge impact on each other, just by being an extra kind to each other, to extra kind to your friends. Some people might have had a really rough period staying home, isolated from everybody, but just being that extra kind makes a difference. The second sense we're going to check is smelling. How many times have you been in your house during this isolation period and your mom starts cooking lunch, and now you're home and you can actually smell that food being prepared? And then we run to the table, we sit down, we shuffle everything in our mouths, and we run back to our screens. And in the process, your mom had spent maybe an hour preparing, chopping and cutting your meal and making it with so much love and so much care. And maybe she was extra excited because you were home. And then she serves the food and we just eat it and we run back to our screen. So again, kindness, gratitude. Thank you for the meal, Mom. Thank you for your effort. Your mom's life is transformed. Appreciation, extra kindness, just a little bit extra. The sense of smell, which is basically very interesting because we smell things without even selecting to smell things. So if you're walking into a garden, you're smelling everything and everything is affecting you. So another tip is when you have your space that you have created, and we're going to talk about it a little bit at the end, where you've created a space at home to study or to do your homework, make sure that you are creating that space with an extra touch of everything. So put up a nice smell. So when you come into your room, it smells nice, it smells peaceful, it smells relaxing. The third sense would be the sense of hearing. And hearing, again, we feed our brains. You know how we take care of our physical fitness all the time? And we can notice that, oh, we've gained a little bit of weight. I don't like how my arms look. Oh, look, I've had extra pimples on my face. So we are aware of our physical fitness the most, but we never are aware of our mental and emotional. And what is it that we feed our brain? What kind of thoughts do we feed our brain? Do you tell yourself all the time, oh, I can't do this. Oh, this is too much. I can't keep focused and concentrating. So also pay attention to the kind of words you feed yourself. That you feed yourself. So what is it that you tell yourself about yourself? Are you a confident person? Or make an exercise, a very simple exercise is to stand in front of the mirror every morning after you wash your face, you're brushing your teeth, and just have a glance on the mirror and watch yourself in the mirror and tell yourself, what is it that you think about yourself? Think everything that you want to be. Forget who anybody says. And think of what is the best version of what you would like to be. Okay? And reaching another sense, we've done touch, we've done smell, we've done hearing, we've done, and now we're gonna look into seeing. The sense of seeing. Wherever you are seated now, just look around you in your room and try to see if you can notice something you haven't noticed before. Sometimes we sit in a room and we don't even notice what is the color of the wall, or what is it that frame, what's the color of that frame, or what's that picture into that frame. So the act of mindfully looking around, slowing down your senses and mindfully looking into something. For example, I'll share a slide with you about this act of mindfully looking. So going back quickly, since I shared my screen, a positive individual is an individual that is able to take care of the three healths, if you want to call it, and the physical health, the mental well-being, and their spiritual well-being, while you are leading a mindful and meaningful life. So as a positive individual, it's not enough to have positive thoughts and be optimistic. It's more than that. It's being conscious and aware that you need to take care of yourself, because nobody else will take care of you more than yourself. You have to become your best friend. And then when I see, if you do this exercise with me, and if I tell you to look for the pregnant lady into this picture, you're going to come closer to the screen and you're going to start just really focusing to find the picture of the pregnant lady. Did anybody find it yet? And this exercise of coming closely and looking into a picture, that is a practice of mindfulness. That triggers your emotions to be into this specific time and be present in the moment. The act of seeing is also at the same time an act of looking deeper into someone else's emotion, someone else's state of mind. So let's take that extra mile and see how everybody else around us is feeling. Because not everyone expresses how they feel, and not everybody verbalizes their emotions. Sometimes they don't, and they express it in very disrupting ways. So let's go that extra mile and try to find what is it that we're looking for. So the sense of taste. Again, going back to that example of you coming to eat the meal that your mom has prepared. Mindful eating is a very key element in our well-being. And you know how people say sometimes that, oh, if you do yoga, you lose weight. No, it's not the act of doing yoga that makes you lose weight. It's the act of you becoming more mindful of what you eat that makes you lose weight. All right? So it's basically when you taste food and when you eat slower, at a slower pace, tasting every single flavor of it, your brain reaches a stage that your stomach sends a message to the brain saying, hello, I've got enough. It's okay, you can stop. But because we're not mindful of that message, we keep eating and we overeat without being in tune with what our body is asking us to do. So eat mindfully, taste the tastes, taste the flavors, enjoy each kind of bite that you eat, and consider it as a fuel for your body, something that nourishes your body to keep going during that day. So then we reach a stage of positivity. What is a stage of positivity? The stage is, this is achieved when every single individual in a society or in a community makes their own individual effort to being in a very good physical, mental, and spiritual state, and then every one of them can collectively impact the community that they're living in. All right, so that we can help our community by actually helping ourselves first. And then when we achieve the sense of being well ourselves, this is when we can give even more for our community. We're going to finish the slides with a few reflective questions that I would like to ask you. And just for you to reflect, some of us have a drive to change the world. And this drive can become too much of a scope. So start by asking yourselves, what can I currently do to collectively help my community or my school or my classroom? What is it, that little act that I can personally do to help everybody else around me? How much do you know about the challenges of your own family, of your own circle of friends? Do you get in touch with other family members? Do you ask your siblings, how are you feeling? Do you ask them if they're going through any challenge? Maybe they won't come and tell you, but maybe they will share if you ask. So connect with family members, check on them. How are they feeling? How can you help them feel better? So that then they can know that you also need help and they can help you back. What type of community have you created within yours? So, you know, sometimes you're so lucky that you become kind of a member of a very close circle of friends. And maybe you're in the cool circle in school, or maybe you're in the not so cool circle. But being into that circle, each one of you can actually create the bigger impact that you want everybody else around you to be. So if you're supporting friends, helping each other, then that vibe can actually ripple to reach more and more people around you. And the last one is, what type of leader are you choosing to lead your own life? You're into that stage in your life where you're reaching a more independent stage. And you're into that stage where you actually have to start making more conscious decisions and more responsible decisions. So you need to start looking into what type of your own leader you want to be and reflect on that. So I think we can go to a few questions that you guys asked now, if there is any questions.
Perhaps since we're waiting for some questions, I could just start with a question I've received here. Looking at the 5 senses, as you return to school, if I'm a child going into school and feeling a bit anxious, going into school, meeting my friends, but also how I will approach the new academic year, how can I use the 5 senses to my benefit?
Okay, great. This is a very basic question. So when you go to school, you're going to be engaged into a new social setup. Okay, so then you're going to go back to interacting with people. Mindfulness comes into practice, very importantly, is about keeping your own safety. Prioritize your safety and the safety of others. So mindfulness comes into practice when you were used to come to school and start hugging your friends. So now we need to be a bit more aware and conscious of keeping our distance. So be mindful of how close you get to other people. Be mindful to always keep your mask on. Just we need to being mindful means that to be extra considerate. All right. So be mindful of not shaking hands. Be mindful of not intimidating other people, because you might be okay to coming close to other, but somebody else might still feel the need to keep their social distances even wider. All right, so being mindful is all about that, taking into consideration how other people feel about being so engaging back again.
Thank you.
I hope that helps.
Yes. Let me just see if we're waiting for if Noah and Aisha could come in. That would be wonderful. Or else I'll have another question here for you. Yes. Thank you.
Yeah, thank
Please
you,
go
Magnus.
ahead.
Thank you, Natalia, for the valuable information and for your great presentation. We received some fantastic questions, and I'm going to start the Q&A now. So are you ready?
Okay. Sure.
Okay. So the first question is, how can we control our senses? For example, pressure and stress during exam.
Very simple. You can use the one tool that will keep you alive. That's it. Always remember, what is the one thing that keeps me alive? And that would be your breath. It's with you 24/7. It's free. You don't need to go anywhere to get it. Just focus on your breath. Sit on your desk, sit wherever you are, and 3 deep breaths. That will start calming down your whole nervous system. Simple and easy.
Okay, the next question is, how can my 5 senses improve my friendships in school, and how can I improve learning?
Okay, the 5 senses and friendships. It's what we all, I talked about all of that in the sense of the 5 senses touching somebody's life, listening to somebody's challenges, asking how are they feeling, being considerate of somebody else's emotions, and doing this exercise of putting yourself into someone else's shoes. It's very powerful. So you can come to understand the challenges that other people might be feeling, because every one of us, every single one of us goes through challenges. It's just that some people show it, some people don't. And it's up to us to be able to touch that and help each other. Basically, just be extra kind and just show some, trigger your compassion, trigger your empathy. It's tough on everyone. And in the terms of studying, we can also focus on, I have a few tips if you don't mind, I would like to share with everyone on the space that we can create at home for our learning. So can we take note of a few highlights? The space that you create could be a desk, could be the most depressing thing ever, and could be the place of punishment on torture, or it can be transformed into a very engaging and mindful and cheerful place. So on your desk, try to add some elements that remind you of happy moments and relaxing. It could be a picture of a holiday that you took and it brings you memories. Add a little plant, greenery, a little flower, add a glass of water, a stone that maybe you picked up on a seashell that you picked from the beach, and you just put it there. very simple mindful tools that remind you of happy days and relaxing and happy memories.
Great. My third question is, do you have any tips and ideas if I feel anxious going into school?
A very interesting tip I would like to tell you is that you need to tell yourself that it's absolutely okay to feel what you're feeling. This is number one. It's okay to not be okay. And number two, reach out. You have school counselors in your school. You have access to them. Chat with them. Just share what you're going through. I'm sure at home you have people that can help you. And most of the time, I'm a mother of 2 teenagers, and most of the time I just get their reactions wrong. Like sometimes you feel like nobody understands what you're going through. It's because nobody knows what you're going through. But if people know what you're going through, they can be more empathetic, and they can actually help you to release that burden that you might feel that you have to carry on yourself.
Okay. Question number 4. Regarding all the 5 senses, how do we increase our capability and spiritual understanding?
By understanding who we are, by listening to ourselves. And listening to ourselves comes with a connection within ourselves. So what we spoke about of being mindful in our relationships, in our setup, in our settings in school, there's another aspect to it, that our own self has a lot of answers. And the feeling of fear is triggered by something that is inside of us, but we never know what it is. We never know what it is because we never sit down and listen to it. So the feeling of frustration and anger, and it's like nobody understands what I'm trying to say, is because you actually don't know what is it that you're actually fighting. So the other aspect of mindfulness is when we can start training ourselves to do this breathing exercise for short periods of time. And in this, you can start by setting the alarm. If you're too scared to go for too long, you can set an alarm for 1 minute. And you sit down, and all you do is just sitting in a quiet space, wherever that is, close your eyes and use your earphones. You guys, I'm sure everybody has earphones. So plug your earphones and put some relaxing music and sit there for a few minutes. 2-3 minutes is enough to calm yourself and just calm those rush of emotions so that you understand what is it, the emotion that is lying deeper. If you really want to connect with what really is going on inside you. And I'm happy to address that on a separate note for whoever wants to know more. You can reach out and I can share more extra tips for that.
Sure. Question number 5. How can we maintain focus for long periods of time during classes?
Okay, so I'm going to ask you, how did you learn to swim? The first time you jumped into a pool, all of us, no one knows how to swim the first time they jump in a pool. And then you go out of the pool and then you jump again. And then the second time you start to kick harder and you start to bring your head off the water. And then you start enrolling into swimming classes until you go and you learn the skill on how to improve your swimming. With focusing and concentration, it is a skill just like any other. Any skill, any sports that you want to excel in, you need to train yourself. So with focusing and concentration, it's also a skill. You start by sitting down, closing your eyes and breathing for 1 minute, for a week, every day. It needs consistency, it needs commitment, and it needs ownership. Because nobody can make you do it unless you want to do it. And you need to decide to do it. And then the second week you start for 2 minutes. and then you start increasing. And it's a skill, and then it becomes such an enjoyable skill that you want to stay there for even longer and longer.
Okay, question number 6. Is physical learning better or worse than digital learning?
That's a tough one, because each one of us understands things and grabs things and what's it called? Process things in a different way. Some people, they need to hear it. Some people can they love audiobooks and they can listen to the whole book and enjoy the book. Some others need to read it, and some others need to actually hold the book, even the physical book, for them to understand and connect to it more. So physical learning has, I would say, in my opinion, the biggest advantage of physical learning is the human connection. And I think that has hit us the most into this isolation period, that we disconnected as humans, because we are social animals and we need to have human interactions. So I think that was a challenge, but I don't. Digital learning has also its advantages, that one classroom, instead of having 25 kids, now can have 100 kids. So everything has its pros and cons, but maybe keeping a balance between these two is what complements each other and makes it even more efficient.
Okay, my last question is how to improve the senses if I lost connection?
Yeah, that's sad, actually, that you lost connection, because then we become robots living on autopilot. And is this life what it's all about? Is this life is it to be lived inside the screen in a fake world? I think we're gonna head there. I think we're gonna reach that stage. But since we still have the opportunity to activate each and every sense, just for the fact to feel alive, because like, how sad would it be for you to go into a garden full of roses, not being able to see the different colors of the roses, or to smell it, or to touch it? It can always remain a picture. But this comes back to also to the kind of life you want to have and you want to lead, basically. So activating every single day, from the minute you wake up and you go to brush your teeth, while you're brushing your teeth, you can become mindful. Like, you are brushing your teeth, you're feeling your brush every single teeth, you're feeling the water touching your face when you wash your face. You comb your hair and you feel your hair. Just slow down, and no need to keep ourselves on autopilot, I think.
Great, so we are done with the Q&A. To be honest, we have a lot of questions, and I believe we can share your email. That's great. Thank you so much, Natalia.
Sure.
Now I'm going to pass the mic to my colleague, Abdullah.
It's over to me, sorry. It's over to Magnus first, yeah. I just
sorry,
wanted
Magnus. I'm really sorry.
No worries. I just wanted to touch upon we have received one question here as well regarding breathing exercises. Can you share with us some breathing exercises that you recommend?
Sure.
If I feel anxious going into a classroom or meeting my friends again?
Sure. Breathing can be very simple. I want to ask you first to put one hand on your belly and one hand on your heart. So when you say breathe in, a lot of people do this. And they think that this is their breathing in. Well, actually they're holding their breath. So it's completely the opposite of what they should be doing. So when we breathe in, you want to feel your belly expand, and then as you exhale, your belly contracts. So just anywhere you are, even in a very crowded classroom, you don't need to be somewhere else. Just sitting on your chair, closing your eyes, and focusing on one thing only, your breath. And with that, to help you even more, you can anchor your breath in your heart. So maybe try to listen to your heartbeat and just focus on that for a few minutes or even seconds. It has an impact. And the more you do this throughout the day, the impact becomes more and more, you can actually feel it. Your nervous system starts to relax, your muscles relax, and everything becomes easier, I think.
Yes, I'm sure. If we move on to the from breathing to the full body, what would you recommend? Because I know you're an avid fan of yoga, for instance. Would yoga be a fantastic tool to help you relax as well?
There is a misunderstanding with yoga, and to be very honest, I started with yoga. Yoga is seen as a sport for girls, as a very boring sport. So it doesn't matter what you do at your age now, being 13 and 14 and 15 and full of life and energy, do whatever makes you feel active. Do whatever makes you feel alive. Be alive. Just go for a run. Do skateboard. There's an amazing sport that I came across, and actually I replaced my yoga with it, which is calisthenics. And it's body weight on the bars and tumbling and doing handstands and just challenging yourself one day at a time to see and discover what you're able to do. And you will be shocked to just step one foot outside your comfort zone. So find the sport, find the activity. Physical fitness is not a punishment to go to the gym, do weights and run. It's so much more than that. So find what makes you happy.
Fantastic. I like that. I like that suggestion. I'm going to find what makes me happy as well. Thank you so much, Natalia. I'm just going to move on to the feedback session now. I'm just going to share my screen here. Can everybody see my screen? It's good. Natalia, you can see my screen?
Yes,
yeah.
I can see it. Looks good.
Fantastic. So if I could just let you hang on for a few more minutes for this little feedback exercise.
Sure.
Again, thank you. Yeah, thank you, Natalia. We just wanted to thank you to you. And this topic has been so relevant to all of us, and I'm sure we're all taking something useful from this webinar. And we at KHJ are extremely grateful for your participation. And if I could ask all of you to, again, either log on to menti.com or stay on at menti.com. For those of you who haven't logged on, the Menti code is 8580679. So if we could start with the first question, we could start with the first question there. If everybody could please reply to that first question that you see on your screen there, and then I'm going to move on to the next one. So what I enjoyed most about this webinar today, I'd be happy if you could all answer a few words. What did you enjoy most about this webinar today? Did it give you a renewed interest in how to stay positive and how to develop a positive mindset and a positive outlook on life? What else have you learned today that you did not already know? If you can share with us your thoughts surrounding this, what will you bring back into the classroom to make it easier for yourself? A few words, we'd be happy. So what did I enjoy most about this webinar today? Okay, we have our first answer there, lovely. He or she enjoyed how to be positive in life. Now that is fantastic. Positivity will bring you a long way, for sure. The facts used to explain each detail in depth, wonderful. It helped me understand how to be positive towards this whole situation, fantastic. I enjoyed learning about how to develop a positive mindset through my 5 senses, wonderful. Give me interest to stay positive. Again, positivity here is very, very important. Yeah. Develop a growth mindset. Get out of your comfort zone. Fantastic. Be your best self always, and learn how to calm down and control emotions. Wonderful. And as Natalia mentioned, it's everything from breathing to the movement where you control your emotions. Very valuable and simple advice on mindfulness. Wonderful. To live more for others than ourselves. Don't forget to live for yourself a little bit as well. The knowledge about the five senses and about our brain, wonderful. I love that we learn a lot about how we can influence how others feel. Exactly, compassion is very, very important. Mindful. Thank you so much. I'm going to move that screen so I can see the positive. Let me just see here. The positive presenters with their smiles. Now that is wonderful. A smile brings it a long way. The knowledge about the five senses. Wonderful. Thank you so much for those answers. We're now going to move on to the next question. Just going to click that here. And what will be the first thing you do with positivity at heart and a smile to make your return to school be the best it can be? What will be the first thing you will do? Will you sing or dance of excitement just from being back to school? Or is it just all about seeing your friends in flesh? It's been such a long time. Where have you been, my friends? Is that the first thing you will ask? Or will you go into the semester with a more happy and a positive outlook so you can keep telling yourself, be positive more often? Or is it showing an appreciation and understanding? And is it also to tell your friends to show their emotions and to tell their feelings? The first thing that you will do with positivity at heart to make your return to school the best it can be. I don't know. Okay. I hope somehow we've inspired you to possibly bring a smile to school and an excitement. I'll study and give my best. Absolutely. We're in school to study. That's the main point, but also to socialize, of course. We have another, let me just see here. I'm just going to move my screen. Talk and communicate with friends. Have social communication. Absolutely. Just like Natalia said, it's very important to communicate and to express yourself. Spread a smile, understanding how my friends are feeling. Absolutely. See my army friends. They have army friends after so long, and sing some BTS song, some Korea pop here. Start with a positive spirit. Have a clear mind and start with a smile. Absolutely, I like that. Saying kind words to friends, peers, teachers, and staff workers. Absolutely. Thanking them first. Is always first. Be positive and spread positivity too. Help out others who need help and positivity. Place my hand on my heart. That's very important. And make myself confident enough to see a smile on everybody's face. Now, that is very, very, very nice. I want to thank you all for your contributions here today. And lastly, I also wish to let you know that KHDA has released a new booklet. Let me just see if we can get that one. Has released a new booklet called a Waybook under the New Days, New Ways banner, all about staying safe at school and at home. And it's a step-by-step booklet describing what to do in different scenarios aimed at children particularly. So all you kids out there, grab a copy. It's available on the the KHDA website under publications. And it tells you all about how to be comfortable coming back to school and how to understand the concept then of putting a mask on, the temperature checks that you will be exposed to, and the concept of social distancing and what is to be expected. Again, this is available on the KHDA website under publications. But for me, it's bye-bye for now, and I will simply hand over the word to Abdullah for his closing remarks. Over to Abdullah.
Thank you, Natalia, again for this great session. Your belief in positivity and building a strong mental and physical foundation to face any challenge is apparent. Students, I hope you enjoyed our session today and feel empowered to go into school next week. On behalf of KHDA, I wish to say thanks a final time, and from my corner to yours, enjoy the rest of your evening. Thank you.